Hey, my name is Kiara, and I'm from Ohio. My childhood was right out of a psychology textbook. My parents disappeared one night, leaving my brother and me begging for scraps at restaurants, until we were thrown into an orphanage. But it was at our prestigious boarding school where the greatest success of my life happened. I heard a scream one morning and rushed into the hallway. Standing there, absolutely furious and with mascara running down her face, despite it being 7 a.m., was my arch nemesis. You! Her green finger pointed right at me, and I wasn't going to hide my blame. I was proud of my latest invention. You're curious to know what I did, right? Well, keep watching and I'll tell you all about it. My brother and I lived in an orphanage for a few years. It was awful. We were older than most kids there, so the workers ignored us. Sometimes we had to steal baby food from the kitchen, or we wouldn't eat all day. But out of the blue, a man in a suit showed up. He walked to the workers and they put us in his car, no questions asked. The whole car ride I was panicking in the back seat, but that went away when we reached our destination. Whoa, what's that?
Your new home,
said the man. We were in a small town, and on top of a hill was a huge, stunning building. It looked like a school, but fancier, and it became our new home. My favorite part of the school was the lab. I spent hours in there, making all kinds of things blow up. My room was full of gadgets I'd invented, because with my after-school job, I didn't have much money to buy gadgets. There was one thing I hated about the school, though. Miriam. She was the richest girl at school, and for some reason, she hated me. I'd be testing out one of my little robots in the hallway, and she'd kick it.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was a rat.
She cackled while I picked up the pieces. Ugh, I hated her so much. She even made my job miserable. I worked at a classic diner in town.
Excuse me, I ordered strawberry. She ordered chocolate, and she ordered vanilla. You gave us the wrong milkshakes, she complained.
Just swap, the flavors are there.
It's not my job to swap, it's your job to give me what I ordered.
But I couldn't complain. Miriam's family owned the whole town, including the school and the diner. Not only did I have to put up with her bullying, but I had to see her dumb face on portraits everywhere. After a long shift, I walked back to the dorms exhausted, but I was shocked to wake. At the door to the dorms was Miriam making out with some guy. They split up, and that's when I saw who the guy was. My brother.
Are you kidding me? Kiara? Don't mind us. We're just having some fun.
My mortal enemy giggled. My brother looked like he had no idea what was happening. I marched over to him and I punched him in the face. How could you, Kai? Then I slammed the door in his face while he tried to follow me. Now I was truly lonely. My brother was the only person that cared about me at all, but now he was my bully's pet. He carried her stuff and walked behind her like a lost puppy. I couldn't believe he would do this to me. He called me a few times to try to make up. How can I forgive you for dating her when I spent years crying to you about her, making my life miserable? I always hung up on him before he could get a word in. I didn't care. He had betrayed me. I thought my world couldn't get any weirder until I got a call to the dean's office. You wanted to see me, sir? Then I saw the two people standing next to the dean. There was a woman who looked just like me, but older, and a man who looked a lot like my brother. The woman gasped and ran to hug me. I hadn't seen them since they abandoned us, but I recognized them anywhere. My parents were back. Their sudden return forced me to be civil with my brother.
I don't trust them,
he said, and I felt the same, but it looked like they needed our help.
Could you get us a job around here? Anywhere. We just want to be around you, kids,
explained my dad. It felt fake, but we did need help at the diner. That didn't mean they had it easy, though.
Dad, I need 3 French fries and 5 burgers now!
My brother shouted. No, you gotta put more weight into it, I told my mom while I made her scrub the floors. Kai gave me a sneaky fist bump over how we tortured our parents. Hey, they deserved it. Don't forget, they abandoned us. Stressing my parents out made me want to annoy more people, and I had the perfect opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We had to swim in the freezing lake for PE, and I made sure to get out of the water before Miriam. Just imagine the look on her face when she got out and her towel and clothes were gone. Hilarious! Then she ran to the locker rooms, which I naturally locked. I even stuck around to wave at her through the tiny window. She looked ready to murder me. And murder me she did, or at least she tried. She started coming to the diner more often, and not only was she hella gross with my brother right in front of me, but she made huge messes.
Oops, Butterfingers!
She smiled while I crouched down to clean her spilled milkshake. She made my job impossible, so I had to apologize. Miriam, I made you this. It's on the house as an apology, I said to her and handed her a strawberry milkshake. She snatched it out of my hands and kept talking to her friends. The next morning was the happiest moment of my life.
You!
Her green finger pointed right at me, and I wasn't gonna hide my blame. I was proud of my latest invention. Miriam was surrounded by other girls. I didn't know my secret ingredient would even turn her hair green, but I was glad it did. She looked like some sea creature.
I'm gonna kill you!
She lunged at me and other girls held her back. I had an early shift at the diner, so I rushed out before I had my hair ripped out by the Loch Ness Monster. I was working when my mom came out of the kitchen looking mad. You turned Miriam green? What's the matter with you? It's none of your business, Mother. You don't understand. Oh, I think I do. And you're grounded. I didn't take her seriously, of course. Kiara, this is exactly why we raised you the way we did. We didn't want you turning out like this. My dad chimed in. Huh? But they didn't raise me. You didn't raise us, my brother said. We sort of did. Kids, we had to leave. We didn't want our money to spoil you. Then they explained. My parents were millionaires. They said they didn't want their kids to grow up like spoiled brats, so they left us to fend for ourselves and only paid for our fancy school. And now poor Miriam is suffering from our decision. My dad shook his head. Poor? Her family owns this whole place. They have enough money to fix her. My mom and dad shared a look, then dropped another bomb on me. They don't own anything. They just manage our properties. That knocked the air out of my lungs. That meant Miriam had no power over me. I should be the one bullying her. You're the worst, my brother said to our parents. He grabbed my arm and we stormed out together. Kiara, I broke up with Miriam. Why? 'Cause she's green? That's shallow. No, I just dated her to annoy you. You were so into your sciencey stuff, you never spent time with me. We only have each other. My brother was right. I neglected him, so he had given me a taste of my own medicine. Our parents were actual demons, so we had to stick together. I couldn't leave my sciencey stuff now, though. It was more important than ever. See, my parents told us they spent years traveling, curing diseases and helping the needy, but I didn't buy that for a second. I couldn't let them control me, so I had to find the truth. I snuck into the dean's office that night, which was actually my parents' office. It looked normal, but I had seen enough spy movies to be able to tell when there's some hidden compartment. The floorboards only creaked in one place. Bingo! I used one of my ultra-thin knives as a lever to remove the floorboards. There was a trap door and underneath a little room. A huge vault door took up an entire wall, but there were all sorts of scanners all around it. I had to leave to collect samples. I came back the next night with an arsenal of my parents' DNA. Vials of spit, hair, nails, a balloon full of their breath, and contact lenses that looked just like their eyes. Don't ask how I got them. A scientist never reveals her invasions of privacy. I put all the samples on the scanners like I was doing a puzzle. Something in the vault door cracked and it opened. Huh? This is gonna take months. All I could see were boxes, mountains of boxes with more boxes on top. How could I possibly go through all of them? I opened the first one and found it was full of rocks? Are you kidding me? The next one I opened was full of paper, but it was all blank or random newspaper clippings. They had a vault full of trash, but my gut told me there had to be something hiding in there, something big. I combed through blank pieces of paper and lifted boxes of rocks for hours until I found a box that looked a little different. When I opened it, I found an old laptop. It turned on and I saw a nightmarish amount of files. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. These files were records of all of the charities they had stolen money from. No wonder they were so rich. This was how they made their fortune. Kai and I walked into our parents' house like we owned it, because we knew we would. Dad, enlighten me. What do these numbers mean? I showed my parents the laptop and their faces turned pale, then slightly green. My mom snatched the laptop and threw it against the wall, shattering it into a million pieces. I'm not dumb like you. I made copies, I snapped.
Whoa, what are you gonna do with that?
My dad's voice trembled. He knew he and my mom would spend the rest of their lives in prison. Nothing. As long as you behave yourselves and obey me, I grinned. I had my parents in the palm of my hand. My parents left town that night. I told them if I ever saw them again, I'd make them disappear, legally or not. I didn't just banish them, though. I took all their money, too. Parents usually wish for wealthy kids, right? With their money, I also inherited all of their properties, which meant I'm the principal now. I skipped around my school making all sorts of plans while Miriam's family packed their stuff. Don't worry, they're not unemployed. I even gave Miriam a job. She's the head hamburger flipper at the diner. God, I'm so generous. I hated knowing how my parents scammed charities and sick people. Maybe that's what inspired me to give my school a complete makeover. I replaced most classrooms with labs, and we became a school for mad scientists. I love walking around and seeing kids of all ages inventing things and experimenting with all sorts of chemicals. My favorite part of the day is watching my brother clean their daily explosions. He doesn't have to do it, but he feels kind of guilty about the whole Miriam thing, and I won't stop him because it's hilarious. I'm sure you're wondering if Miriam's still green. I don't know if it's the heat from the hamburger grill or all the rubbing from scrubbing floors by hand, but it's kind of going away. Good for her, right?